Isn't it fascinating that babies have this ability to move certain muscles that we adults just can't anymore?
Oh, totally.
It really makes you think about, learning and what our bodies can do right from the start.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where our deep dive takes us today.
Precisely. Yeah, we're plunging into the very first day of the Genwise Summer Camp.
Hmm.
And look, this wasn't some gentle intro.
Yeah.
No, these kids dove into 10 distinct subjects.
Yeah.
Everything from like AI intricacies right through to the science behind submarines.
Wow, 10 subjects.
In one day.
One day.
Yeah.
So our goal here is basically to give you the highlights, right? The most interesting bits from that whirlwind day.
Yeah, we've sort of distilled the key takeaways. Hopefully you'll get a really quick but, solid understanding of what they covered.
Okay, let's do it. Where do we start? AI.
Let's jump straight in with AI and machine learning.
Yeah.
The session kicked off with that big question. What actually is artificial intelligence?
That's the fundamental question.
Right. And they touched on the different types, AGI, ASI, ANI, the whole spectrum.
Okay, let's unpack that a bit. So beyond just defining it, it sounds like they got their hands dirty.
Oh, absolutely. Very hands-on. They were using platforms like ML for kids in Scratch, building actual projects.
Oh, like what?
Well, some really neat starting projects.
Yeah.
Like teaching a computer to figure out a chameleon's color based on where it is.
Okay.
Or even judging the water level in a glass just from a picture.
Huh. That's a clever way to make something pretty complex like AI feel, reachable. So what was the main idea they walked away with?
I think the core insight was about how you teach a machine. They learned you have to break information down into super basic bits,
right,
like recognizing a number. For a machine, it's not about understanding 5. It's about spotting simple things, lines, curves, loops, features.
Ah, right. So it's less about the concept and more about the components.
Exactly. And that difference, that's key to understanding the challenge of creating, really smart AI that gets nuance like we do.
Okay. Moving to a different kind of system than policy paths. Sounds like the kids kind of led the charge on this one.
Yeah, that was interesting. The class actually started with the students introducing themselves, saying why they were interested in policy.
Nice. Sets a good tone.
It really did. Very collaborative from the get-go. Then they dove into some core economic concepts.
Like what? Give us the gist.
Okay, so what even is economics? How public policy gets designed, the goals, the tools you use. They talk about non-zero-sum games, where it's not just win-lose. And those basic economic assumptions, like people being rational, competition, having information.
Right, laying the groundwork for thinking about how societies make decisions. And then they zoomed in on bands.
Yes, and they used bands as this, case study. They explored the idea that sometimes a ban can feel like a lazy solution.
Lazy how?
Well, they looked at the real-world example of the alcohol ban in Mumbai. And all the unintended stuff that happened, like illegal smuggling popping up, other crimes increasing.
Ah, the ripple effects.
Exactly. So the point wasn't just bans bad. It was more about how crucial it is to really think through all the potential consequences, second, third order effects before you put a policy like that in place.
That's a really powerful lesson. Policies don't exist in a vacuum. Did the students get to, wrestle with this themselves?
They did, yeah. They worked in teams analyzing what might happen if some item got banned.
No.
And they finished by writing blog posts about it on Substack.
Oh, cool. Solidifying the learning.
Definitely.
Okay, let's switch gears completely to the precise world of numbers. Mathematics. Sounds like they went straight for the fundamentals.
Absolutely. Started with the basics number theory conventions.
Yeah.
Like the symbols for natural numbers, that n symbol, and integers, the z.
Okay.
And defining rational numbers, basically any number you can write as a fraction.
Got it. The basic building blocks. Then what?
Then the division theorem, which basically explains how you divide integers and get a unique quotient and remainder. That led straight into defining a mod b.
Modular arithmetic.
Right.
Seems simple, but it pops up everywhere, doesn't it?
It really does. And they even got into the tricky bits, like remainders with negative numbers.
Yeah.
Like negative 25 mod 4 is actually 3.
Which can trip you up if you're not careful.
For sure. They also hit the fundamental theorem of arithmetic, that prime factorization thing. Every number breaks down uniquely into primes.
A cornerstone. Wow, they covered a lot. Anything else?
Yep. Quick bit on remainder arithmetic, then a quiz to practice finding remainders. They looked at practical uses too, like finding the last digit of a huge number, like 3 to the power of 2010.
How do you do that?
Using modulo 10. It simplifies the exponents right down.
Clever.
Yeah.
Using modular arithmetic as a shortcut.
Exactly. They also touched on perfect squares modulo 4, Euclid's lemma,
Which is pretty important in number theory, right?
crucial, yeah, about primes dividing products, then some basic set notation, and even a quick intro to proof techniques, contradiction, and induction.
Wow. That's a serious introduction to mathematical thinking. Packed.
It's very packed.
Okay, from the abstract numbers to the wetware, neuroscience. Sounds like this one started with a real head-scratcher.
It did. The question was, what do people who are born blind, congenitally blind, experience in their dreams?
Whoa. Yeah, that makes you think about how the brain builds its world.
Right. Sparks immediate curiosity.
And it wasn't all just deep thoughts, right? Sounds like there was some activity.
Oh, yeah, definitely interactive. They played Chinese Whisper, the game, and a movement copying chain. Both great ways to physically see how information or actions can change as they get passed along.
Analogies in motion. So what were some of the key brain facts they learned?
Well, they talked about that fascinating link between language and thought, like how some African languages have different specific words for shades of green.
Suggesting language shapes perception.
Kinda, yeah. How we categorize things might influence how we see them. And they learned that wild fact that the brain itself can't feel pain.
That always blows my mind. It processes the pain signals, but doesn't feel it directly.
Exactly. And you know what? They circled back to that baby muscle thing we mentioned at the start.
Ah, connecting the dots.
Yeah. The fact that babies have muscle control, adults lose, it just highlights how adaptable the developing nervous system is. They also got into some heavier stuff, like the psychology of crime,
Oh.
discussing dopamine, the reward system, and how that might, unfortunately, reinforce criminal behavior in some cases.
Complex stuff.
And to make it really real, they watched a brain dissection video.
Wow. That would definitely make an impression, seeing the actual organ.
Yeah, pretty impactful.
Okay, moving on. Pathfinders. This sounds like it's all about skills for the future.
That's exactly it. Equipping them with life and career skills. They talked specifically about things like networking, being resourceful, leadership, and just the importance of always learning.
Practical stuff.
Very practical.
Yeah.
And emphasizing how these things apply no matter what field you go into.
So how did they kick that off?
It started with connection. Students and the instructors sharing backgrounds, interests, what they specialize in, building a bit of community.
Makes sense.
And they started exploring different, maybe less traditional career paths, looking at the pros and cons.
Future-proofing their thinking a bit. And look, AI pops up again here.
It does. They introduced large language models, LLMs, show them tools like Meta AI, Grok, ChatGPT, Gemini.
The ones everyone's talking about.
Right. And the focus was on how they can use these tools for sharing knowledge, researching careers, understanding different industries, like a powerful research assistant.
It really is all connected, isn't it? Okay,
Yeah.
storytelling. That feels fundamental.
Oh, absolutely. A core human skill. They started by looking at how kids and adults understand loss and grief differently.
That's deep.
The-
Important, though.
Very. Exploring those different emotional landscapes.
What else did they cover on the narrative front?
There was this great quote they shared. What you highlight in a story, or what you pick up from the story, gives me a reflection of who you are.
That's insightful. Interpretation reflects the interpreter.
Exactly. It really nails the subjective side of stories. They also dug into the craft, you know, how to start stories, how to end them. Even talked about unconventional starts, like beginning with tragedy.
Flipping the script.
Yeah.
Interesting. What else?
The circle of life concept in stories.
Yeah.
And character essentials, what a character needs versus what they want.
Needs versus wants. Classic storytelling engine.
Right. And they did this cool exercise using diary entries to explore different points of view, actually writing from inside different heads.
That's a great way to get perspective,
Right.
literally. And it looks like they even took storytelling into advertising.
They did. They looked at how women are often shown in ads and how those ads tap into emotions around, like, domesticity.
Okay.
And they hit on that key marketing idea. Products don't sell, emotions sell.
Ah, the power of narrative and persuasion.
Totally. It shows how stories shape our desires, influence us, often without us realizing. It's way bigger than just ads, obviously. Politics, relationships, everything. They even tried writing their own ads, focusing on problem, resolution, and thinking visually.
So learning to craft persuasive narratives. Okay, let's dive into summary now. That sounds like a mix of physics, engineering, adventure.
Yeah, it was cool. They started with ground rules, setting the stage, then straight into the core principles. Archimedes' principle, buoyancy, upthrust.
The why things float stuff.
Exactly. They had a video demo too, which apparently really helped make those abstract ideas click.
Visuals always help. So after the basics of floating.
They defined mass, volume, density clearly, used real-life examples,
Yeah.
and tackled that classic question. Why does a huge iron ship float when a tiny iron sheet sinks?
It's all about the shape and displacing water, right? Average density.
You got it. It's about the average density of the whole object, including the air inside.
Makes sense. So how did they link that to actual submarines?
By explaining ballast tanks, how submarines fill them with water to get heavier and sink, or pump the water out with air to get lighter and rise, controlling their overall density.
Clever engineering.
Yeah. They also covered propellers, the structure itself,
Yeah.
and the idea of neutral buoyancy, just hovering at a depth.
That delicate balance. Did they talk about other submarine challenges?
Oh, yeah. Partial vacuum, the immense pressure underwater, why regular radios don't work well down there, so they need to surface or use sonar-like things.
Right. Communication challenges.
And they even touched on the difference between nuclear and diesel subs.
Wow. Pretty comprehensive. And then it looks like they shifted into electronics.
Yes. Logical steps, and subs run on complex electrical systems. They introduced diodes, those one-way streets for current.
Okay.
Then the big three: voltage, the push; current, the flow; and resistance, the opposition. Used analogies to make it stick. And of course, Ohm's law, V equals I times R.
The fundamental equation. Did they get to build anything?
They did. They actually built basic working circuits, which is great groundwork for, more complex projects later. And they used multimeters to measure voltage and resistance, then calculated the current using Ohm's law.
Nice. Hands-on is the way to go with circuits.
Totally agree.
Okay, almost there. 2 feet of science. Love that title. What's the story behind it?
Yeah. It's about science standing on two pillars, theory and experiments. That's the whole foundation.
Right.
So the session started with, what do scientists actually do? And then explored those two sides.
Theory and experiment, the dynamic duo. Did they talk history?
A bit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned Tycho Brahe doing the super detailed observations, Galileo championing experiments, Newton building the big theories.
The giants.
Yeah, and they brought in Feynman's chess analogy. Science as figuring out the rules of chess just by watching the game.
That's such a good analogy. What else about the scientific mindset?
The idea of experiment without apparatus. Thinking about Faraday, who did amazing things with basic equipment through sheer ingenuity. And they stressed units, measurement, estimation. Super important.
Can't do science without measuring things properly.
Exactly, which led them naturally into Fermi problems.
Ah, the back of the envelope calculations. Love those. What did they try to estimate?
Classic ones, like how many barbers in Bangalore, how long to count to 1 billion, the area of the room they were in.
Fun. Makes you think about assumptions and orders of magnitude.
Precisely. It's about breaking down huge, fuzzy problems. They also did this neat demo with nail polish on water to estimate molecule size by relating the volume of the drop to the area it spread out over. A clever way to connect macro measurements to the micro world.
Very cool. Okay, next up. Wired wonders. Sounds like more electricity.
It is, yeah. Kind of building on the submarine session stuff. Started really basic, defining potential as just the capacity to do something.
All right.
Then they did this simple activity for potential energy.
What was that?
Just dropping sketches and markers from different heights, seeing the impact change.
Ah, so higher drop, more potential energy, bigger splat.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It makes that connection between height and stored energy really obvious.
Yeah.
Then they introduced the factors.
Hmm.
Mass, gravity G, and height.
PE equals MEH. Got it. What other energy concepts?
Clearly, defining mass versus weight mass is stuff. Weight is gravity's pull on stuff. Defined acceleration due to gravity. Then kinetic energy, energy of motion.
Right.
And comparing potential and kinetic, how energy transforms from one to the other.
Yep.
Stored energy becoming motion energy.
The classic physics examples.
Yeah.
And relating it back to electricity.
Yep. Using that pipe and water analogy again for electric current. Then defining voltage, V, resistance R, current I, and their units again. And hitting Ohm's law one more time, V, I, R.
Really drilling that one in. Good, it's fundamental.
Did they do another experiment?
They did, similar to the submarine one, but maybe reinforcing it. Used the multimeter, measured battery voltage, measured resistor values, then calculated the current. Practice makes perfect. Solidifies the understanding.
Exactly.
Okay, last one. Aero modeling. Sounds like fun. Bet the kids were excited.
Oh, yeah. Definitely high enthusiasm there. Started with the lingo, flight path, rotation versus revolution, scalars, vectors, basic flight terms.
Setting the stage.
Then Newton's laws of motion, applying them to flight, doing some calculations.
physics in action. How did they make it really
So
engaging?
you talked about the SR-71 Blackbird, that super fast spy plane.
Whoa, cool.
Yeah, used it as a hook to talk about more advanced stuff, thrust-weight ratio, side slip, minimum thrust needed. They even watched the Mach 10 scene from Top Gun, Maverick.
Huh, awesome. Connecting it to pop culture. What about the modeling part, the building?
They talked about the materials. Different foams, like XPS and EPS, why you'd use one versus the other based on density and strength.
Practical knowledge for building.
Right. Explained thrust, stress, pressure. And had this interesting little debate. Do weighing scales measure force or pressure?
That's a good one to puzzle over. It's force, but related to pressure over the area.
Yeah, tricky. Exactly. Explored gravity as a force. And then did problem solving, applying force, acceleration, displacement, gravity calculations to flight situations.
So really applying the physics.
A really thorough intro to the science of flight.
Wow, okay, just reflecting on all that, the sheer range of stuff they covered, it's kind of mind-blowing for one day.
It really is.
You listening are definitely leaving this deep dive knowing a lot about that first day at Genwise Summer Camp.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's really striking, I think, is that mix. It wasn't just lectures. It was foundational theory, then hands-on stuff to make it stick, and these really good discussions.
Yeah, sparking curiosity, not just feeding facts.
Right. Active learning.
And you see these threads running through, like experimentation is key, whether you're doing science or engineering circuits, or how math just underpins everything from AI to how planes fly. It really shows how interconnected it all is.
Exactly. It's a great example of how these aren't separate boxes of knowledge. They're just different ways, different lenses for looking at the same underlying principles of how the world works.
So here's something for you to chew on. Think about a concept you know pretty well. Something simple, maybe. Now, how could exploring that same concept through different lenses, like science, history, art, economics, how could that totally change or enrich your understanding? Like these Genwise students did on day one. What kind of first day across a bunch of different fields would really get your curiosity fired up?